Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a great weekend. This week's weekly update is going to be really brief because we did not have a treasure hunt in last week's episode. That being said, congratulations to the person who was first to spot and scan the cashew e-token. The 2100 sats are yours. And if you haven't watched last week's episode with Dr. Ammous about Bitcoin and health, I highly recommend that you watch it. It is so refreshing to speak to a medical doctor who promotes sleep, sunlight, protein over pills. I mean, it's so rare today, and I promise you, the episode is about 10 minutes long. He takes no prisoners in answering the 21 questions in 10 minutes, and you will definitely walk away with not just abstract sort of notions of medicine, but practical advice that you can implement for free right away that will definitely make a positive difference in your life. Sleep, sunlight, protein, no Bluetooth headphones. Like these things sound so basic, but I think that they do make a huge difference in your life. So be sure to tune into that episode. And in a few weeks, we'll come out with the full interview with Dr. Ammous. And speaking of treasure hunt, so there was no treasure hunt in last week's episode, but next week there will be a treasure hunt with a double bounty. 42,000 sats will be the bounty in next week's episode. We've got Tomek, who organizes the Bitcoin Film Festival, who will be on the podcast. He's agreed to double the bounty, and he's going to tell us all about Finding Satoshi in Poland, the Bitcoin Film Festival, and a lot of the goodies that they'll be giving away when you attend. And I'm so happy to say that I will be traveling to Poland for the very first time. I've been to a lot of different countries, but never Poland, because I will also be at the Bitcoin Film Festival. So I look forward to seeing you there. If you do attend, let me know, like write in the comments, or you can DM me on X, and maybe we can do impromptu interviews or takes or something. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to it. So in last week's update, I talked about how the Senate was going to vote on the Clarity Act. So what happened on May 14th, which was the Thursday and not the Wednesday, the Senate Banking Committee voted on the Clarity Act. And essentially it passed with a vote of 15-9. And it turns out that the vote was bipartisan. And basically next steps include a full Senate vote, which requires, I believe, at least 60 senators to vote in favor to avoid the infamous filibuster. If that vote does pass and go through, what will happen after that is there needs to be a reconciliation between what the House had signed off on and all of these markups or amendments that were included in the Senate Banking Committee vote. And then it'll go to the president for his signature. We'll see. People are predicting this is going to go through by July the 4th. Who knows? But if you are a nerd like me, you tuned in and you watched at least some of the Senate Banking Committee votes, and you listened to all the commentary around the markups and stuff. And I have to say that the roles were just locked down. I mean, you've got Elizabeth Warren and Cynthia Lummis, a piece of theater that I greatly appreciated. We all had that colleague in the office who was like, well, I think, whatever. And I do believe, I don't want to make fun of, another woman or another person, but Elizabeth Warren played the role wonderful. She was the perfect Karen in this situation. And of course, Cynthia Lummis, straight talking, she had everything prepared, all of her rebuttals or whatever you call it when you rebut basically the critiques. And so it was really, it was entertaining to watch. But I do have to say that, firstly, I've never been interested in how bills become laws or anything like that. I've never been super interested in politics, but because it does pertain to Bitcoin, I tune in, I pay attention, I want to know what's happening, because yes, this Clarity Act involves crypto and tokens and all the rest of that stuff, but I still think that it is very important and quite amazing actually that if this bill, if the Clarity Act does in fact pass, Bitcoin in self-custody will be codified. Peer-to-peer transactions will be codified, and there's a promise of no central bank digital currency. That is remarkable. And once again, regardless of this multipolar world situation that is not even emerging, but that's here, when the US does something, I do believe other countries will react. And perhaps, it's my hope, I could be naive, but perhaps this will lead to a sense of competition, like game theory playing out between countries to see who can retain the best talent and a recognition that Bitcoin is the future. So it is never too late to learn how to self-custody your Bitcoin. I think it's a great idea to start learning how to self-custody your Bitcoin because once the bankers get in there officially, you will be spending so much money on fees and different services that you may not actually need because you've taken the time to learn the basics of self custody. And of course, we're here at Ask a Bitcoiner 21 Questions to help you do so. Tune in next week to the episode with Tomek about the Bitcoin Film Festival. The bounty is wonderful. It's 42,000 sats. And also, Tomek reveals, I can share in advance, that there is actually a prize of 2.5 million sats given away at the film festival for the best film. Some of the goodies include, I think they're giving away Trezor hardware wallets. I've got a hardware wallet that I love. When I go, if I manage to get one, maybe I'll do a giveaway here in the future on Ask a Bitcoiner 21 Questions, just to encourage everyone to self-custody. Look out for next week's episode that's moved to Saturday with Tomek, and tune in to watch Dr. Ammous answer 21 questions about health and Bitcoin. I promise you, it's probably the most helpful 10 minutes you will spend this week. Bye.